Hello everyone. Um, I know ever since the rebrand video, I had promised new content coming to the channel at some point, and more diverse content just to open up the channel a little bit. And this is going to be one of those things. I've actually been wanting to do videos like this for a while, just me messing around with computers. Actually, longer than I've been running this channel. I've been wanting to do that for years before I started the channel in 2017. But when my interest in the EAS came along, I decided to put that aside to focus on that. But ever since then, I have been hoping to incorporate these kind of videos into my channel, but I never really saw a place where that could fit into my workflow. But I think now that I've rebranded the channel, I think that now I can finally incorporate what I've been wanting to do for a while now. Hopefully, I don't know if this is going to be received very well, especially because you guys aren't really used to videos like this on this channel. But I know that on my second channel, Ben's Tech, I was making videos like this. I had a couple projects planned for that channel, but only one of them really took off. Yeah, I had several videos planned for that channel. A lot of them were recorded last year around this time, and they never really got uploaded. The only video I uploaded was the video about the camcorder. But yeah, maybe I can incorporate some of that into here, as well as some other content that I'm hoping to introduce at some point in the future. So, alright, so to start off this kind of series of videos, you might be wondering why we're looking at this computer right here. Well, the project that I'm going to be working on today is installing Mac OS Sierra on this computer. So it's basically going to become like a Hackintosh computer. Now how are we going to do that? Well, making a Hackintosh is actually not as easy as installing Windows on a computer like this. You can't just make an ISO image and burn it to a disk or put it on a flash drive and then just do that. So unfortunately, it's not as easy as that, but it is like once you make it through the special kind of Apple procedures with making the drive bootable, then it should be as straightforward as doing that. Because when we make the image to boot the computer off of, it's going to think that we're just reinstalling Mac OS on another Mac once we actually get that configured. So to start off the video, you may notice that this computer already has some damage to it on the side. I should also mention that this is one of my two Dell Latitude E5520 laptops. The second one is serving as it's older than this one, but it's serving as a capture device for various things. This one is the one that I have lying around that currently doesn't have anything on it. It actually has no hard drive in it at all. It has nothing on it. And I'm pretty sure this is the computer that has this computer has the least RAM out of the two Dell Latitude E5520 laptops that I have. I don't remember how much it has exactly. It has either 2 gigabytes or 4. We're going to figure that out at some point. Now, the first thing we're going to start off with is, well, actually, the thing I was going to talk about was the damage on the side. So it has, you may notice that it's kind of raised on the right hinge more than it is on the left. That's because the right hinge is broken on the panel, on the LCD panel. So when you open it, well, this is going to make some people cringe, but it's going to break the panel apart like this. So I mean, the screen works, but it just doesn't work very well. So the way you have to open it is you have to hold down the side and then kind of pull this open with this on the side. Pull it open while holding the hinge. So, yeah. And the computer can actually have the screen open by itself. Now, I don't think I can lean it back any further because of how damaged it is. Oh, well. it usually doesn't handle that very well. But if worse comes to worse, I can just get a monitor to hook this up to. Now, the first thing we have to do is install a hard drive into this thing, which this currently does not have. It also doesn't have battery power, so I have to plug it in. Something I've noticed in the years that I've had these laptops is that they aren't really good with battery power. So something I've noticed is that the batteries in these laptops tend to go bad really quickly. Like the two Dell Latitude laptops I have, when I run the when I run the BIOS diagnostics on them, they say that the batteries are reaching the end of their usable lives, and this is something I've noticed on both of them. So alright, and it's not centered, obviously. I'm trying to move it without breaking the screen, because the screen works just fine, it's just the hinge that has the problem. So, because there's no hard drive in it, it's going to say no boot device found. Well, we need to fix that. And how are we going to fix that? Well, I took the liberty of buying an SSD for this machine. Now, the reason why I went the SSD route is because if I want to make this last longer than its current hard drive lasted it, then I think the best way to go is to make this machine solid state. Now, once I put this in, the only parts that will be not solid state will be the optical drive and the CPU fan. Everything else will be completely solid state, because once this is replaced, it will be there will be less moving parts in it. And that's good for multiple reasons. Well, because for one thing, mechanical hard disks don't exactly, well, the issue with mechanical hard disks is that they tend to fail after some time. And those have spinning, mechanical hard disks, I'm assuming most people know this, but mechanical hard disks have spinning disks in them. And they have a read-write head that moves over the spinning disks. That's how they store information. With the solid-state drive, though, it's just a series of chips in them that hold information digitally. There's no spinning disks. There are no spinning objects. No, this is completely solid state. You can move this around and throw it around as much as you want, as long as you don't damage the circuit board inside. And this will not only make it faster, but it'll make it more reliable. So, and the hard disk that came with this machine, actually it didn't come with a hard disk, but the hard disk that was in this machine, that I had in this machine originally, is currently the one that's being used in my other Dell Latitude U5520. But I've noticed that when you hold it wrong, it will click. And mechanical hard disks are never supposed to click, because that means the read-write head is hitting the spinning disks, that damages sectors on the disk. I've run tests on the hard disk to see if there are any bad sectors, and I don't remember if it found any. But with a solid-state drive, that's less of a problem. So we should go ahead and get that installed if we want Mac OS to work on this. And the version of Mac OS I will be installing on this will be Mac OS Sierra. Because, and I'll explain that in a minute. But the first thing we need to do is get this open so we can put this inside of it. So first thing we need to do is open this computer up. Something else I've noticed is that computers in more recent years have gotten more difficult to repair. This is a 2011 laptop, and this is very easy to repair. Like, you can just take this panel off and you're into most of the things you need. It even has some expandability options that most laptops currently do not have. Like my current laptop, which is from 2019, it doesn't have any expandability options. In fact, you can't even take it apart. It's all, I guess it's welded together, but you have no expandability options because everything is soldered to the motherboard. The RAM, the SSD in it, everything. This, on the other hand, is completely expandable. You have your RAM here, you have your hard disk, well, I need to find the thing for it, and you can even replace your CPU, which I was surprised to learn when I started researching this computer, is that you can actually remove this heatsink and replace the CPU. I don't know, now I don't know what the limit for this I don't know what the maximum speed of a CPU you can put in here, but that is an option if you want to do that. So now we need to open up the SSD. We need to actually sit behind the camera so it doesn't look weird. So now we need to open up the SSD once I can get everything in focus. Now it's a 256 gigabyte SSD, which is sort of an upgrade from what the original hard disk was. It was 232 gigabytes, but again, it was a mechanical disk, and that's currently the one that's in the other Dell Latitude that I have. This one, on the other hand, it's kind of a cheap SSD, but we don't really need it to be that expensive. It's going to be holding just a project of mine. Alright, so here's the SSD. It's actually incredibly light. It's almost like there's nothing in this. I mean, look at this. I wish I could convey this to how heavy this is, but my phone, which is what I'm currently using to record this video, this is way heavier than this. This weighs like nothing. So now we will need to put the drive into the computer somehow, which I'm going to do by, well, again, adjusting the focus. I don't like to use autofocus because it usually doesn't do a good, at least on this camera, it doesn't really do a good job of keeping everything in place, or keeping everything in focus. So to mount this properly, we'll need to kind of just slide it in here. Oh, it goes the other way, I think. Hold on. Yes, it has to go, the SATA port, it has to go SATA port up, so it can plug into this like that. So this little handle you can use if there were screws in this. Well, if there was a drive in here, you could use this little handle to kind of pull that out. So you can go ahead and slide in the drive here. It'll slide in just fine with no problems. So we can go ahead and put that in. We don't really have to worry about any screws or anything because, again, it's a solid state drive. It can take a beating. But it also, the screws are really meant for vibration protection. But the solid state drive, the SSD won't really vibrate. And, well, if I had the screws to screw it into this, it would let me pull out everything in one piece. But it's not, but it doesn't really matter. So, yeah, and I have a little manual for how to use it. Yeah, so this isn't going to be very useful because I know how to install things. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and throw away the packaging. But now we are done. This machine is now partially solid state. Now this may be defeated by the fact that I'm more than likely going to use a DVD to install Mac OS Sierra because I don't really have any flash drives available at the moment. Now, how are we going to make the image? I have not made the image yet, and the reason why is because you actually need a Mac to do it. You need a Mac to make the image for making a bootable Mac OS installation disk. Now you may be wondering now, oh, well, doesn't that defeat the whole purpose of making a Hackintosh if you have to have a Mac available to do this? Well, And for some people, yes, but in my case, no, because the Mac that I currently have is a 2010 Mac Mini, which is at least a year or two older than this machine, but it's also not as expandable. Like, you can't upgrade the CPU in it, I don't think. Again, you have to do this weird thing with opening it. Now that we've put a hard drive in it, I'm going to go ahead and run the BIOS diagnostic test to see if it can actually detect the drive. Oh, gotta plug it in. Yeah, it's warning me that the battery's critically low. Okay, continue. Uh-oh. Well, it may not be showing the hard drive because there's nothing on it right now. It's not bootable. Alright, so I'm going to go into diagnostics. See if it can detect the drive. Which I sure hope it can. Oh. No hard drive is detected. That's a problem because if the BIOS can't detect it, that means it's either not plugged in right or the drive is defective. Okay, so we're going to have to do something about this. Actually, I have another option for detecting the drive. We can use Hiren's boot CD to boot up and see if it can detect the drive. So we're going to cancel testing. You're going to exit the BIOS, and again, the BIOS for this computer is kind of unusual because it's like an actual user interface, not like a command prompt or anything like that. Or it doesn't look like a command prompt thing, unlike other computers. So that's interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and exit, and the mouse works in this BIOS too. But yes, it cannot detect the hard drive, which is a major problem, because how else are we going to install the operating system? Well, again, we can use Hiren's boot CD to detect it, or if it shows up anyway. Now, Hiren's boot CD is a boot disk that is full of all sorts of tools that you can use to troubleshoot hard drives or do all sorts of things with your computer or storage devices. So you have this kind of unlabeled disk you can put into the optical drive. Also, the optical drive on this, it doesn't have a panel, so you have to kind of reach in there and push the button. Got it. Oh, this was in here. Actually, this was the computer I used to use for capturing. Alright, let's go ahead and boot. Go ahead and boot to the DVD. There we go. Alright, so I know this didn't work on the other laptop I have, but I tried to go into Linux-based rescue environment, which has gparted and parted magic, apparently. I don't know if it'll work with this computer, but we will find out. Oh, well, there we go. Live with default settings. Start options. Yeah. This is taking a bit longer than it usually does. There we go. Now it could also be that this computer, it's formatting it to the right display size, but it could also be that this computer, the SATA port on the computer is broken, perhaps, which that would kind of make this whole thing impossible. Because then how is it going to boot from the hard disk if the SATA port is broken? But I don't think it is, because I had a hard drive in this not too long ago and it was working. But if this hard drive, if this SSD is defective, then that also makes it impossible. Oh, well, Party Magic works on this. I don't know why it wasn't working on the other computer. Actually, this is a newer model, so it's possible that the other one, even though it has more RAM, it's possible that this just doesn't work on computers that are older than this software itself. Because this software is from about 2012, which I believe was around the same time this laptop came out. So, also this is considered a notebook laptop. My, how things have changed, right? Alright, so we're going to go into... Oh, the mouse doesn't work. How convenient. Actually, I'm going to get an external keyboard so I don't have to, like, sit that close to the computer. Now, I have a Mac keyboard, which is somewhat fitting because we're going to use the Mac later. I'm also using that because it has an extra USB port. Alright, at least this way I won't have to lean that close to the computer, but also so I'm not in the way of the camera, or that the angle of the camera makes this awkward. Okay. Alright. So, this isn't working. Not good. Yeah, my mouse isn't connecting. I know this isn't low on batteries because I was using this earlier. I can try restarting it, or doing the force shutdown. Okay. So, go ahead and start it up again. Now, something I can try this time is I can go into DOS programs and try to test it from there. Let's see. We can go into perhaps hard disk tools. Also, yeah, the keyboard's working, so the mouse is not. Well, actually, yes, it is. Let's see. Alright, let's go into hard disk Sentinel. Oh. I had this problem on the other laptop too, where it was unable to control the A20 line. And I also got the warning that the high memory area was not available. So, I know a way to get around that. Also, if you can hear my dog whining, that's because he has to be down here. Oh, next. DOS settings, and DOS himem.sys. Alright, should be working now, or it should at least load something now. Alright, there we go. Now, you can type M for menu. It shows it as the R drive. Okay, so this is what I used last time. Alright, so I had some time to review the audio that I was recording on my phone, since the microphone on this camera isn't that good. And I noticed that it was not that good because I was using the Apple headphones. So if the audio quality of the audio quality wasn't that good earlier in the video, I apologize. Here's partition tools. Try smart fdisk. Because fdisk is a DOS command. Cannot find any hard drive. Okay, that is what we are searching for, and that is a problem. F7. Can we... No, we can't do anything. Alright, so the hard drive is not detected. Or the SSD, rather. So that is a problem. So we need to exit. Alright, so how do we fix that? Well, let's first make sure that it's connected properly. The camera wasn't recording, but I basically took apart the computer. But look at that. I did not even touch that. I put it directly below this. So I need to somehow get this out without damaging the SATA thing. I don't even know how I managed to do this. This must be thinner than most mechanical hard drives. Oh, I really hope I don't damage the SATA thing. The connector. It came off. Oh. Yeah, I did not notice that before. It's upside down. I missed it again. Actually, let's do something that's smart. Let's plug it in like that. And then just do that. There we go. That's smart thinking, isn't it? Alright, I'm not going to... Well, I guess I can put the screws back on. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that since... since I don't want to lose the screws. But yeah, that was not very good thinking on my part. It wasn't even plugged in. Actually, not only was it not plugged in, it wasn't even in the right place. So yeah, that's, yeah, good going. But now it should be detected. Alright, so now that that catastrophe is over, we can get back to the process at hand. Ah, well, we have an internal HDD option now. Alright, so the diagnostic is now running. I guess it must have detected the hard drive because it's onto the video part of the diagnostic now. Were color bars displayed? Yes. The battery is reaching the end of its useful life. That's what I was talking about earlier with these laptops and the batteries going bad. Okay, well, the little blue light is next to the hard drive, so that means it must still be testing it. This is honestly taking way too long. I think we already know that the hard drive works, but... is the mouse? Yes. But I think the way we'll really know is to test the hard drive itself with Hiren's boot CD. Because then we will know for sure that it is working. The hard disk status is perfect, apparently. Okay, well, I think that's enough the fact that it's showing up in the boot menu in the BIOS is good. So, I think that's enough confirmation to know that it's working. So I think we can go ahead and start making the Mac OS boot image. And again, like I said earlier, you need a Mac to do this. So it's going to be a little bit of a process, but we can go ahead and get started on that. I have a Mac Mini 2010 version that I'm going to go ahead and pull out and set up next to this computer. Okay, here's the Mac Mini I was talking about. Alright, I think I have everything connected. I also turned on autofocus. It was doing a good job until it wasn't. Let's turn it on. There we go. Now this computer does not have HDMI. That's why I'm using a HDMI to VGA adapter. Actually, this monitor is newer than this computer and it doesn't have HDMI. Interesting. Just waiting for it to load. It usually takes a long time to start up. There we go. So you may be wondering at this point, why are you going to make a Hackintosh if you already have a Mac that works? Well, the reason is because this Mac is, again, it's older than this computer, but it's also because the laptop, the Dell Latitude, is more expandable. But also, this computer is rather slow, even with like 5 gigs of RAM. It's 5 gigs of RAM and an i5 processor. Now, the computer I'm going to install it on has less than that, but currently the computer I'm using right now currently has less than that, but you can put up to 8 gigs of RAM in it. As far as I know, you can put up to 8 gigs of RAM in it, and it should work fine. So this is a mid-2010 computer, 2.4 gigahertz Intel Core 2 Duo, 5 gigs of RAM, yeah. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to go to the, actually I have to go to the App Store, not the iTunes Store. Also, apps on this take forever to load. This was before Apple computers were solid state. Actually, I think most computers were not solid state until like a few years ago. Another thing about this computer is that it was originally designed to be a media center computer. Meaning that the intent behind it was to have it sit in your living room or your viewing area or something, wherever you watch TV, and you could have something called Front Row installed on your computer, and it would basically work like Netflix. We'd have a bunch of movies and things on it, and you can put in your own DVDs through this front-loading optical drive. Now, unfortunately, this optical drive does not work. Well, it takes in discs, but it can read discs, and you can insert discs into the drive, but it can't read most of them. So we're going to go ahead and... Now you have to download the Mac OS Sierra boot image off of the... actually, since it's right next to the network switch, I might as well connect it directly to the router, so downloading the image won't take as much time. Alright, there we go. Alright. So now... Alright, so after some research and consideration, I have decided that the best course of action for this computer would be to simply upgrade it to Mac OS Catalina. This is probably going to be a death sentence for this computer because it already runs Mac OS Sierra a bit slowly, although that could also be because I have quite a bit of software on this computer for various things. And when I install the new version of Mac OS on there, there won't be anything to... There will no longer be any data on it. Well, there will be data on it, but none of the software that I installed on it. So, because I'm pretty sure it's going to have to overwrite the current Mac OS Sierra installation for Mac OS Catalina. Now, this computer is an unsupported Mac, but we can make it so Mac OS Catalina will work on this. So, we can go ahead and get started. Just make sure I'm in focus. I also reviewed the footage of the last time I did this, and I realized that I was not in focus most of the time. I also noticed that the audio quality was horrible, so I've now switched over to something that will hopefully work better. I think the best way to go about this is to just use a patcher tool that will
install Mac OS Catalina just straight away with no issues, so we don't get stuck on having to upgrade this computer to Mac OS Catalina when the real video, and when this whole video is really about getting a Hackintosh onto this computer. We don't want to get hung up on this. So this piece of software, it's kind of like the baby's route of doing this, but again, I don't want to get hung up on doing this forever, so I'm going to go ahead and plug in the drive that I have this on. Alright, this is the patcher tool I was talking about. I'm going to go ahead and click on it, see if it does anything. Alright, there we go. Now, there is a list of supported devices, and I believe this computer is on the list because the devices that aren't supported are mainly like 2007 and below computers. This computer is a 2010 model Mac Mini, so it should work fine. The one thing I'm concerned about is, will it have enough RAM to run this computer, run this operating system? Or will it have enough power? Because, again, like I said earlier, it did struggle with Mac OS Sierra, and I do know that this operating system is a little bit more power hungry, and I don't know if this little 2010 Mac Mini will be able to give it the power that it needs. So, I mean, I'm sure hoping that it will be able to, but we'll see. I should probably make a backup for this, of the data on this computer at some point, which that should be very soon, actually, if I'm going to install Mac OS on this. Alright, so the first thing this patcher will do is prompt you with an option to either browse for a copy of Mac OS Catalina or download a copy from Apple's servers. Now, I have, like I experienced earlier, I couldn't download Mac OS Sierra or Mac OS Catalina from the servers or from the App Store because it said the machine was incompatible. So we're going to go ahead and click download a copy from the App Store, or it'll be downloaded straight from Apple. Now, this is going to be quite a big install. I think it's roughly 8 gigs. So this is going to take a while, even over the network, just because file transfers generally take some time. But in the meantime, while this is running, I'm going to go ahead and make a backup of the stuff that's on this, and I will come back when it is done downloading. Alright, it finished a while ago. It just took me a while to copy the things I need off of it. So my camera's about to die too, but now we are on the installation method window. Now it says you can either install directly to the machine, create a bootable installer, or create an ISO image. Now, like I said earlier, I don't have any flash drives available, so I'm going to have to get a disk. I'm back, and I have a flash drive. So if I just plug it in, it should just work. This doesn't go in right. Well, it's probably fine. There it is, Ubuntu. It's labeled as Ubuntu because that's what it had on it before. It doesn't have Ubuntu on it now. I just didn't want to name it something else. So we're going to do create bootable installer, and we'll select Ubuntu. The volume that will be used as the bootable installer. All contents on the Ubuntu will be erased. Yes, that's, wait, no. Okay, cancel is blue for some reason. You have to enter your password for literally everything on Mac, which I guess that's good. Windows doesn't do that. And as you can see right here, if I point the camera straight down, it is working. It's just writing the image. I'm surprised my camera hasn't stopped yet. It says the battery's on red. I also don't have a plug for this camera, so once it dies, I'm going to have to stop everything and just wait for it to charge. I don't have another battery for this camera. I don't have a dummy battery thing that I can put in the battery hold or battery chamber that will just power the camera off of an external source, but whatever, it's fine for now. The tab disappeared. I don't know what it was. Also, if you're looking at this background here, like the background image, that is, I believe, a picture that either me or one of my relatives took in Galveston, Texas, I think in 2010. There's supposed to be like a date on the bottom there that's cut off by the dock. So yeah, that's what that is. Might as well keep that as the Catalina background. Although I don't think that'll happen. But I can set it again once we're done with what we need to do. Now you also might be wondering, oh, why not just use this as a way to install Catalina directly onto this computer? Well, I don't think that will work, but I can definitely try that. Alright, so this is taking a long time, so I'm going to go do something else and put this camera battery on the charger. Alright, I'm back. It says the operation was a success. Your bootable Mac OS Catalina installer has been successfully created. You can now boot from this volume on the machine you intend to install Catalina on and proceed with the installation. Okay, well, like I said earlier, we can try just booting this computer, the Dell Latitude, off of the Catalina image that this computer created. But I don't know if it'll work, but if it does, that will save us a lot of time. But the only way we'll know is if we try it. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug this flash drive. I'm going to switch over to this computer now. Alright, everything's in place, I think. Alright, I think everything is in place. I'm going to go ahead and plug in the flash drive, and start up the machine. Alright, now before we proceed any further, I'm going to plug in the keyboard so I don't have to reach over the camera to get it. Okay, let's see how you like this. Although I have now considered that maybe the reason why this isn't loading anything is because computers like this won't recognize Mac file systems. This computer was designed for running Windows, but it's not going to boot off of a Mac file system. So that could be why this isn't working. That cursor on the top, yeah. The cursor on the top, pretty sure that means it's not progressing any further. So this, I guess that's the other reason why this probably wouldn't work directly, because it's just, this kind of computer can't boot off of a Mac file system. In fact, it probably doesn't even recognize the drive. So I guess we're going to have to go ahead and proceed with the upgrade procedure on the Mac Mini. I don't really want to for fear of losing the operating system, but I suppose all things come at a risk. I'm going to plug the drive back in. Actually, I should plug it directly into the computer. That way it won't have any weird issues with trying to detect the keyboard before it boots. Because that's what I'm plugging the flash drive into, the keyboard. It should be plugged into the computer directly so it has the best chance of booting off of it. Okay. Let's make sure there's actually stuff on it. Yes, there is. Okay. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and hit restart because we're going to boot off of the medium now. Now, upon startup, I'm going to hold down the Option key, and that will give me a list of bootable devices. And I did plug it into the right USB port because the red light is on. So, pretty good indicator. I'm going to hold down the Option key. Actually, wait. I'm going to wait until I see the Apple logo, then hold down the Option key. Because right now it's probably still shutting down. Alright. Hold down Option. Nope, that's the command. Option. There we go. Alright. So, it even shows us the Mac OS base system, which is, that's the logo for Mac OS Catalina. So I think we're already off to a pretty good start. I'm going to go ahead and select that and boot off of it. I don't have to worry about, I guess I don't have to worry about any like data I had on this. I didn't put much on this. So I think we're all set. And I suppose I should remind everyone of this is the whole reason why I'm going to these lengths to do this is to get a Hackintosh on this computer. And the reason why I'm doing that, or the reason why I'm upgrading to Catalina, is so I can download the Catalina image from the App Store so I can make a bootable drive to put on the other computer. So yeah, oh boy. It's also taking a while to load, but it also just in general takes this computer a long time to load. Imagine how it's going to be on Catalina. I also hope we have enough, we have the right specifications for it. Because this computer has 5 gigs of RAM with an i5 processor. I tried putting more RAM into it with no success. It wouldn't boot at all with 8 gigs of RAM, unfortunately. Now, the good part about the Dell Latitude is that while it doesn't currently have 8 gigs of RAM in it, you can put that much in it. And you can I think you can actually put more in it if you desire. So, we'll have to see how that goes. Currently, I believe, I think I mentioned this at the beginning, but I believe the Dell Latitude has 2 gigs of RAM in it. Okay, yeah, it's loading. But I believe the Dell has 2 gigs of RAM in it, which I don't think that's enough to run Catalina, or it's like the minimum amount you need. Mac OS recovery. It says reinstall Mac OS, but I think that's Catalina. I can't see it from here. Yes, that's Catalina. I'm going to go to, going to hit reinstall Mac OS, continue. Again, it's going to wipe out the installation of Mac OS Sierra, but I'm fine with that. Okay, yeah, this computer doesn't really like being on the carpet, but it got pretty warm earlier, but I think just in this startup menu, it'll be fine. You know, something I could have done from, you know, it doesn't matter now. Mac OS Catalina will be installed on the disk HDD. So, we're already in a pretty good spot. I was actually doubting that this would work, like, at all. So, now we wait again. There's going to be a lot of waiting throughout this whole process. Oh, about 11 minutes remaining. That's actually not bad. It's considerably shorter than the other processes I've had to go through in this whole project. So I guess now we just wait. Alright, so I guess I'll come back when this is done. Or when it moves on to the next screen, I guess. Whoa, I didn't even have time to hook up my headset. It's restarting. I was watching it and then the screen turned off. I pressed the down key to wake it up. And then now it's doing this screen. I don't know if that means it's done or if the installation failed. Although I guess when you think about it, it really shouldn't have turned off. It really shouldn't have fallen asleep like that while it's installing. Either that or it was completely harmless and I somehow messed up the whole installation by pressing the down key. But I guess it wouldn't have turned off. It wouldn't have darkened the screen if it wasn't doing something. I don't know. I'll come back to it later. Ah, there's the estimate that seems more realistic. About 47 minutes remaining. Now that means that it hasn't really started. Well, I suppose it has gotten through the main parts of the installation. Actually, is this in focus? Alright, well, either way, it's I believe it's on the main part of the installation now. So the estimate that said it was going to take about 11 minutes was probably just the pre-install stuff. Now I think it's laying down the main foundation for Mac OS Catalina. So I think we're on the right path here. I'll check back in about 47 minutes when it's done. Alright, it's been almost an hour, but listen to this. You hear that? Yeah. That's what I mean when I say it doesn't really like being on the carpet. It's also been going for about an hour. I don't know how much longer this is going to take. It's definitely longer than 40 minutes. Right now, the current estimate is about 21 minutes. So, I guess I'll just come back whenever it's done. But I don't think it's going to take 21 minutes. Something else I noticed about this camera is that it doesn't handle really dark objects too well. Like, look at the Apple logo when I move it around. It's almost like there's like a kind of, and look at the side of the monitor when I move it. It's like there's a, it's like the e-ink displays that have remnants of the, remnants of what was previously there if you don't refresh the screen. It's almost what this reminds me of. Like, look at that. I've never seen that before on a camera. You may have noticed earlier that when I was filming the screen head-on like this, the like you could still like kind of see the monitor there. That wasn't
That's not because I was that's not because it was zoomed out all the way. It was because it must have burned into the sensor somehow. And I guess that can be removed by moving it to an object that isn't completely dark. I don't know, but this that has to be like a glitch with the ISO or a glitch with the sensor not handling low light too well. The ISO is also very low. What I showed earlier, it's not that dark in this room. I just have it that dark so you can see what's on the screen. I also don't use auto settings because they usually don't work too well. Um, like it never really looks right. So I adjust them on my own, even though I have to turn off the camera every time I do that. But it's fine. I'm fine with it. But I haven't seen that kind of artifact on cameras before. And look at this. It's weird. All right, it's like 11 o'clock at night and it's still going. This is gonna take forever, man. This is way longer than the like 40 something minute estimate. It's been like 2 hours. Well, I'll come back tomorrow morning and see how this goes.
All right, so it's now 9 o'clock of the next morning. It's like 9:57, 8:57. So, and it's been sitting on this screen the entire time. I think it's stuck somehow. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and restart. All right, let's see how it reacts. I'm gonna hold down the Option key to make sure we boot off of the hard drive. There we go. All right, hard drive. I'm hoping it doesn't get stuck again. See, I thought this would be a relatively simple install, but I've still gotten stuck on just upgrading this Mac to a newer version of Mac OS. We haven't even gotten started on the main part of this video, which is to install it on that computer. Well, I guess these things just take time. But I think it's safe to say that, well, since it's actually loading, that it installed on the computer. The only thing we need to do now is just set it up so that it'll work. Also, this patcher tool, it came with the list, or it came with the series of patches that you can use in case some of the software or things with the computer didn't work. So we can install those patches if we need to. This computer's getting pretty warm too. I don't know if that's just from being on the carpet or if this is using a lot of processing power. Guess I could elevate it so it's not completely on the carpet, so it has some elevation. I don't know if that's going to work any better, but it's worth a try. So we're still on this loading screen. I don't know if it's going to get to the end and just stop like it did earlier, or if it's going to actually lead me to the setup. Because the way you're supposed to do is once it's done with the installation, you just boot off of the hard disk because it's installed. You just need to go through the setup. Slowly, patiently waiting. Oh, the screen went black. Oh, okay. All right, the screen went black again. Well, it didn't go black, it just went to a dark theme, I guess. Oh, wait, does that mean the setup's done?
I thought I had to run through like the setup or something. I'm pretty sure this is Catalina. It has a background of Catalina. It saved my user information and the logo. Did it just keep everything? Maybe since I've already run through the Mac OS setup when I first got this computer, when I got this computer, I had to run through the setup on Sierra because I think it was wiped with factory settings. Um, but I think it might have just upgraded the system while keeping all of my apps and data. In which case, I didn't need to make a backup of everything, but whatever. I thought it was just going to overwrite the hard drive um, and then install the operating system, because that's what usually happens. We're back to loading. We've done a lot of waiting with this process. It'd be nice if something actually happened. Alright, so I wish I had kept the camera recording because a few minutes later, this shows up, which is the setup. So you can just go ahead and run through this like normal. I also saw a little pop-up tab for performance optimization. It said that performance of your system um, may be affected if you don't run through that optimization setup, which makes sense. I mean, I do want to optimize this performance. I do want to optimize this operating system as much as I can because this computer isn't particularly powerful to begin with. It has an i5 processor with 5 gigs of RAM, which it's not really that powerful. So, and I mean even like just this setup, you can tell it's just taking a long time to load. All right, Siri. Um, I don't really use Siri. Now, I'm not sure if it's just the computer that's taking forever to load the next slide, or if it's just this installation that's slow. So I'm pretty sure this is some kind of modified version of Mac OS. Um, let's keep the dark theme. I like it, but the camera sensor probably won't like it. Oh, it even shows the type of computer that this is installed on. I didn't think it would realize what it was. Although, considering that it doesn't have an optical drive cutout in the front, like this one does, it would probably freak out if it knew it was installing on a 2010 Mac Mini. The computer was shut down because of a problem, I remember. Oh man, this really does take forever. Hopefully I can go back to that performance optimization window I was looking at earlier. Or it's just gonna fade to black. Oh, it even kept my background. Maybe it did just run an upgrade. Patch updates are available for this model. Yeah, might as well install that. This patch will enable night shift on unsupported machines. All credits to the methods used in. Alright. I'll click on it once it starts loading. So I'm pretty sure this is a modified version of Mac OS, so it'll work on this machine. Because normally when you install Mac OS, well, first of all, it probably wouldn't even work on this, but it wouldn't give you like install patches for unsupported machines. But I think oh yeah, this is definitely a modified version because it would never do that. It would tell you what wants to make changes, but there it just says blank. It just says wants to make changes, which that would never show up on legitimate Apple software. I'm not saying this is not legitimate Apple software. I'm just saying if this was an actual Apple installation, not like a patcher, then um, it would look more elegant. But um, I think the guy who wrote this tried to remain as true to the original Apple software as he could, but still um, making it so that it would work with unsupported machines, which would have to be certain modifications in the code. All selected updates were installed successfully. You will need to restart your computer. Let's go ahead and restart now. Yeah, I can wait another day for this to start up. Yeah. Oh, it even kept my Adobe Acrobat Pro installation. I didn't think it would have done that, but it kept Creative Cloud, so I'm going to assume it kept Acrobat. Here we go again. Actually, I should just pull out this installer drive so it doesn't try booting off of it again. Yep, it starts up just as quickly as the Mac OS Sierra operating system. I wonder how it'll fare on this Dell Latitude because it has an i5 processor like this computer, but it only has 2 gigs of RAM. It's either 2 or 4 gigs of RAM, but I have a pretty strong feeling that it only has two. But I can always get more RAM. You may not have been able to hear that, but the fans ramped up as it was starting up. Also, these sign-in logos look a little bit bigger than they did on Sierra. There might be some kind of accessibility feature, or it just looks like that. Yeah, I think it actually takes a little bit longer than Sierra to load, which I guess is to be expected. Catalina is a more power-hungry operating system. It probably has higher system requirements, although I'm assuming we're meeting at least the minimum requirements because it wouldn't have even started up if we didn't. All right, so we'll have to check if my software on it works. All right, so I'll have to check if my software on it works later, but right now what we need to do, no, don't. Chrome has a tendency to start up on its own. I tried to stop it from doing that, but it doesn't listen to me. I also can't uninstall it because it just doesn't. Or maybe it wasn't opening on its own. Usually when it starts jumping around, that means it's starting up. But all right, it looks like we have everything we had before. Like everything that was on this desktop I had on Sierra. Yeah, it takes quite a bit longer to load things than it did on Sierra, so but that might be because I have to run the performance optimizer. Let's go into system preferences and see if I can actually try to run the optimizer. Because it gave me a little tab to get to it, and now I don't know how else to find it. But I'm going to assume that it's in the preferences menu. There we go. Finally. It even has my Apple ID in the corner, which I didn't enter, but I'm probably going to blank out so it doesn't show any personal information or any information about my Apple ID. Um, let's see if we can look up performance. Actually, another thing that's different about this version of Mac OS, um, Adobe Acrobat Synchronizer. It's asking for notifications. But another thing that's different is that this this patch updater thing. Oh, there's even a relocated items folder, but this wouldn't be here on if it was an actual like if it was being installed on a supported Mac and you weren't using this software. But I'm very certain that this is just in fact, this is actually Mac OS Catalina. It just thinks that it's on a supported Mac. So it must have just changed like the Mac's model number or something. So it would think that it's on a supported Mac because what people have realized over the years is that Apple doesn't discontinue their older models because they're getting slower. Well, they are getting slower, but not because they won't work with the operating system, but because they want people to buy the newer ones. Not everyone can afford to do that, but some people like me need a Mac to run certain pieces of software. Well, um, and I've tried running Mac OS in a virtual machine. It was really painful to set up, and it never really worked right. Um, so determined that just getting a regular Mac is a better idea. But I had to get this 2010 Mac Mini because, well, first of all, it had an optical drive, which was one of the main reasons why I bought it, and I was kind of disappointed to find out that it didn't work right. But you know, we can go to about this Mac and see if it changed the model number or if it still shows up and it just changed the model number internally. Because I'm fairly certain that's what it does. Otherwise, how else would it be able to install it on this? But as you can see, it is working on this older Mac Mini. All right, so it still says Mac Mini mid 2010. So it must have just changed it internally. But it is running, it is now running up-to-date software, and it should be able to receive. Oh, this now shows up. It's been like 5 minutes. Okay. Um, all right. Well, what we really came here to actually, hold on. Let's see if I can run the, oh, there's an Apple TV app. Maybe you can use this as a entertainment system again. Because Apple released a new Mac Mini in like 2018 or last year, I think. And it looks a lot like the current versions, except it is black and do- and it may have less upgradability, I think. I'm not sure, but I know the later models of the Mac Mini, like the 2011 and 2012 versions, those cannot be upgraded at all. And that was another reason why I bought this model is because you can upgrade the RAM in it. Now I was disappointed to learn that you can only put like what, maybe 5 gigs in it. I tried upgrading it to 8, but that didn't work. And I don't know if it will handle anything lower than that. I can probably look it up, or maybe it'll tell me in a setting somewhere. But anyway, we're gonna look up the performance optimizer. No, maybe it did it automatically. Well, either way, Adobe Creative Cloud is needed to resolve this problem. However, it is missing or damaged. We can Now, when you do an upgrade like this, it's not always going to migrate everything over to the new OS. Some things will, um, some things won't make it over correctly. So this is just something that happens. I think this happens with Windows too, where not everything will make it over correctly. Like some things will still work, but you may have to repair some installations or reinstall some things. But again, that's not what we came here to do. I've been getting distracted. I can do all this later, but we need to go to the App Store and make a bootable Mac OS Catalina image to install on this Dell Latitude. That's the whole reason why we upgraded this machine. And I'm glad to see that it worked, but um, oh, this doesn't. This is going to be one of those annoying tabs that is in the way all the time. Yeah, it's not even loading the images. There we go. All right, we're going to look up Mac OS Catalina. There we go. Get. Is not available. Does it think it's trying to do a software update? Uh, well, this didn't really go as planned. Although the patcher tool I used to install macOS Catalina, it downloaded it to the computer first. It downloaded the most recent version of Catalina from Apple's servers first. It stopped recording. So I think what we need to do is just run that again, but not install anything. Just use it so we can download the most recent version of Catalina so we can put it on the Dell Latitude. Because I think we have to do something kind of special to get the bootable medium working so it can boot off of so the Dell Latitude can boot off of the flash drive so it can install Catalina. And like I showed you earlier, it didn't work when I just tried using the flash drive straight out of the patcher software because I'm pretty sure the Dell Latitude can't read Mac formats. So we have to initialize the boot medium so it'll work on the Dell Latitude. But to do that, we first need a Mac OS Catalina image. Hopefully this is making sense. since evidently we can't get it from the App Store. Um, is it still here? It is. Now I need to go look this up and make sure that I'm actually doing this right. Because otherwise, we're going to get stuck a lot if I just do things blindly.
Alright, so after some research, I have figured out the basics of what I need to do. The first step is to format a flash drive to the correct partition, to the correct format, not the partition. First thing we're going to have to do is go into disk utility. It is a little laggy, but it's actually not as slow as I was expecting it to be. Actually, you know what? I know what was, I know why, I know what that, optimizer was. It was the patcher installer. You can run the Mac OS post install to install the necessary patches that you need. Now, I'll probably do that later because it looks like it's working fine now, but I think that's just to optimize it. This was the flash drive, I believe. Yes, I believe it was the flash drive. Or perhaps it wasn't. Is it detecting the flash? Oh, yeah, no, it was not that. Maybe gotta plug it into the back. It's opening up the iTunes store for some reason. Okay. Alright, so I plugged it in. It should be working now. Or it won't be detected. Okay, there we go. Finally. So this flash drive is like a 16 gig drive. Yes, it is. So the installer used about 10 gigs of data. Used about 10 gigs of storage on the drive, but we are going to go ahead and erase the drive. Mac OS Extended Journaled, and I thought there was an option to select the GUID partition table, but I guess not. This was the flash drive I was using for the Mac OS installer. Erase process is complete. Click Done to continue. Alright, so now it should be blank, and it is. So that is the first step. Alright, so next thing we're going to have to do is go into the terminal, and this is going to copy over the installer to the flash drive. I'm pretty sure the installer is already on the drive, or no, the installer is already on the system because the installer, I think I opened it earlier, but it asks you to set up Mac OS Catalina, and that is the actual installer that we need. So I'm going to enter It's hard for me to see what I'm doing. Alright, that was painful. There we go. Command not found. Ow! I really can't see what I'm doing. The screen is too small. Okay, so it turns out I was actually doing this whole thing wrong. But now I think I've got the right things going here. I'm currently transferring this Mac Catalina image over the network, and we should be good to go once it's done. All I need to do is format the flash drive correctly and restore it to the image, and then we should be set, but it's going to take a few minutes to transfer over the network. But I think we're finally on the right path now. We should be anyway. Okay, so the power went out in my house and completely messed up this whole process. So that network transfer is now gone. I couldn't do it over the flash drive because it said the image size was, or the file size was too big for the file system. Okay, well now I gotta go fix my other stuff. Okay, so after a very, very long time, finally got the image onto here. So all we gotta do is plug it in and hope that it works. Maybe I'll actually get this done today. Wouldn't that be something? I've been on this for like 4 days. It's starting to get exhausting. Alright, so it once again detects my external hard drive as a non-writable device, but that's fine, because we're only copying a file off of it. This is going to take about 6 minutes, but in reality it's probably going to take longer than that. If I cannot make the flash drive bootable from the Mac, I'm going to have to switch over to my PC and make it bootable there. In which case I'll have wasted a lot of time upgrading this Mac only for it to not even be part of the process that I was trying to deal with. So I think we've spent most of this video on this Mac Mini. I want to say that we have. So I'm gonna try to at least make the flash drive bootable on this Mac. Otherwise, we'll have just wasted a lot of time. We're at about a minute. Yes, about a minute. Oh, about 12 seconds. I think that's what it says. My camera's almost dead. Oh, finally. Okay, now we're gonna do what I've been wanting to do for like days now. We're gonna go into disk utility, hopefully for the last time. Actually, it's right here. Alright, here we go. Going to do that. And let's see here. Can we restore? No, I'm going to select an image. And we're going to select the Mac Catalina image, which is located on the desktop. And restore. Yes, it's working. Finally. This may actually work now. Because if this didn't work, I'd have to switch over to the PC and download some other software to make it work. But why do that when this just works natively? Yeah. So that's another reason why it's good to have a Mac around if you can. There are certain things you can do on Macs that you can't do on Windows, including, well, I suppose you can do that on Windows. It's just you may have to download third-party software or it's located deep within the system settings. But either way, I think we're finally getting to where we need to be going. And once that is done, I think we can finally just boot it off of the flash drive. There's been a lot of waiting in this process, in this whole, like, getting everything done. In fact, I think most of this process has been waiting, but we may not have to wait for much longer. Alright, it should be done. Of course, I have to log in again because Mac OS requires that you enter your password for literally everything. Alright, it says it was restored. It should, get out of here. Should be working now. It's not showing up anymore for some reason, but you know what? I think that's it. I think that's all we have to do. I'm going to go ahead and, well, just unplug it because there's no way for me to eject it. And we're going to switch over to the other computer now for the first time. I think the Mac is trying to play music even though there's no music on it. Let's go ahead and turn this on and hope autofocus does its thing. So autofocus on this camera isn't actually that bad. Alright, we're going to try booting off of the USB storage device and hope we can actually do it this time. Although since this cursor's blinking, I have very low promises, or I have very low hopes, unfortunately. In fact, I need to check if I actually did this correctly. Okay, so I actually did skip over a step, and that is to go into the BIOS and enable UEFI boot. Now, as you saw earlier, the BIOS on this computer is a little bit different than the traditional BIOS that you're used to, in which this actually uses a mouse, and it looks more like a UI than it does like a BIOS, but, you know, that's just how it is. State operation HCI. Let's see. And what I have to do is I have to enable UEFI boot. Actually, that might have been why it wasn't working earlier. When I tried booting it off of the flash drive earlier with the image on it. I just didn't have UEFI boot enabled, but we're going to go ahead and let it boot off of a flash drive since there are no other bootable mediums in there as far as I know. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to select the flash drive to be safe because I don't want to have to wait for it to detect it or anything. And we're on the same thing we were before, with the flashing cursor in the corner and nothing happening on the screen. This is exhausting, man. Alright, I followed all of the instructions and it's still not working. Maybe it didn't actually save my settings for some reason. Alright, let's see. Boot sequence is UEFI. Yeah, that's right. System configuration. Seat operation. AHCI, yeah, that's right. Why isn't this working then? Did I forget to do something? I don't think I did. I can't even click on things. Alright, let's... Well, there goes my audio. I've decided that recording the audio externally is just becoming too painful to deal with, so I'm just going to use the camera's external mic, or internal mic. So, the system requirements for Mac OS, I was thinking, I was considering that the reason why Catalina wasn't booting was because there's not enough RAM in this computer. I believe there's about 2 gigabytes in here currently. And according to, apparently the minimum system requirements for Catalina are 2 gigabytes. But in the event that that somehow doesn't work, I have another computer, this one, that we can try to boot off of. We can try to boot the image off of just to see if it works, but I don't really want to install anything on this because there's already a hard drive in this with data on it. So we're gonna just try to boot it up off of that computer and see if the image actually works. Let's see if this works. I haven't actually turned this computer on in a while. This one does not have a broken hinge. However, it has a very reflective screen, which you cannot see because the ISO is too low. But I suppose that's fine because the glare is not. The glare doesn't really matter. How do you get into the BIOS? I'm going to hit like F12 a bunch of times. I think it's F12. I remember the last time I did this, I had a really hard time getting into the BIOS. Yeah, I don't think this is going to make a difference. I should probably just look up how to get into the BIOS itself. Oh, it's the F2 key. Oh, and it's working on updates. Oh god, this is going to take years. I went back through and made sure I did all the steps. I'm pretty sure I did. If it doesn't work on this computer, I can try it in a virtual machine. Actually, no, that wouldn't work. I remember setting up a Mac OS virtual machine, and it was a real pain to do. I had to install a couple things, some add-ons. It was just a pain, and it never really worked right anyway, so I never used it. And instead, I bought that thing because and the other issue I had with it is that I couldn't connect drives to it. Like USB drives, you couldn't really connect USB drives to it. They never really worked right. So I decided that actual Mac hardware would be better. Although it would be nice to have some expandability, which is the whole reason why I'm doing this. Now, I suppose if I really wanted to, I could install it on this computer and just transplant the SSD from the computer below this into this and put the hard drive for this up somewhere safe, because I do have some stuff on here. But we can do that if it comes to it, but I don't really like this computer for a variety of reasons. A couple of things on it are broken, it's not in good shape. Although it also has a Core i5. Actually, now that I think about it, I think all of my computers except for my desktop computer have a Core i5. My desktop computer has a Core i7. Alright, so while we wait for the next 90 years for this to update, I'm going to go make sure I did all of this properly, even though I'm fairly certain I did. Whatever. Windows Update. Oh, I have a feeling it's going to... If I don't hit F2 quickly enough, it might get stuck on Windows Updates. I'm waiting for it to turn off, so it usually gets stuck on this. This computer isn't particularly fast, and it sometimes gets stuck when it's trying to shut down. So you have to hold down the power button and force it to shut down. There we go. basically spamming F2 until I get to the BIOS, which hopefully works. There we go, finally. Mouse works on this BIOS too. This computer is not much older than the Dell Latitude below it, while it may not look like it. It's a 2014, it's either a 2014 or 2015 model. Might actually be a 2013 model, but it's more than likely a 2014 model. Let's see. So we're going to go to Advanced, and we're going to go to System Configuration. UEFI boot is good. Change boot order. I'm going to click OK. Actually, wait. Hold on. Can we select a boot device? Probably not, but we probably can move the USB up to the top. Save and exit, and see if it'll boot off of the flash drive. It should do it on its own, now that the flash drive is the top priority boot device. I know one of the USB ports doesn't work, but I'm pretty sure it's the one on the left side and not the one the flash drive is currently plugged into. This is going to take forever. Well, there's activity on the flash drive, or there's consistent activity on the flash drive because it's just red. The activity right is just red. So, we don't have a cursor on this screen. Oh. So it just gave up. Okay, well then that could be a sign that there is something indeed wrong with this image. So I suppose I can just make the image on my PC and then try it with this, which is not what I was wanting to do, because that would have just made this whole thing a waste of time. But if that's what we have to do, then that's what we're going to do, I guess. So I kept trying to get the image to work with no success. And I was about to just complete the process on my computer, my Windows computer, but then I was thinking, what if the flash drive is just defective? Why not try again with another flash drive? At least that way we can know for sure that it's not the image that's defective, or it's not the image that's the problem. So I'm going to use, get out of here, I want Apple Music. But I'm going to use a flash drive that I know for sure works. And I know I said I didn't have any flash drives available, but it turns out I have some. That a lot of the flash drives I have they don't have a lot of things on them, so I'm just going to try again with this new flash drive. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to have to seek out another alternative. That's not good. It's not even detecting the flash drive anymore. It's not even detecting the flash drive. Maybe I gotta plug it into the keyboard? Thought I had this connected earlier. Okay, there we go. It says 4 gigs are used, but I don't believe I have anything on this. Yeah. Alright, so my camera battery died and I have no way to mount it to my phone to the tripod. But since I am only going to go this one, since I'm only going to do this one thing, I'm just going to record it with my phone and then let my camera charge. So I'm going to go and hit erase. Actually, hold on.
hit restore. It's hard for me to see, but restore from that image I selected earlier. That was on the desktop. I think that, yeah, that's it. And restore. Alright, and now we wait. I'm going to let my camera charge, and then I'll come back when this is done. I'm back after some time. I believe the image finished. I believe the image, yep, it has finished. I also have this drive which I completed on my computer, just in case the drive that I restored with the Mac doesn't work. Now this one is already pretty promising because this one is labeled as Clover when it's plugged in, and that's the name of the program that lets you boot, that assists with booting the operating system. But just so I can feel better about myself, we're going to try the VDI transfer flash drive first, which is the one I just did. So I'm going to go unplug it, and we're going to try to boot off of this flash drive again with the other computer. Alright, it should just boot off of the flash drive because there are no other bootable mediums in it, like I said earlier. No bootable devices. Wow, that is irony right there. Actually, I've never seen that screen before. It just says no bootable devices. Usually it'll do what oh, that's because I'm in UEFI boot. Okay. Let's see, date and time. Well, the CMOS battery is still working, so that means it saved my BIOS settings. Let's see. There are some things for like the hardware in it. Like one of the things is CPU booster, which it's in here somewhere, but it I think it's under performance, but there are some yeah. So these things like Intel SpeedStep, which is it enables or disables the Intel SpeedStep mode of the processor. It does Intel Turbo Boost, which enables Turbo Boost, and it increases the performance state of the processor above the standard performance, and hyperthread control. All of these things may interfere with our ability to boot off of this flash drive and for Mac OS to work properly. But I'm going to try loading it as is, and then I'm going to try the other drive that I wrote with my main computer. And if that doesn't work, if neither of those things work, then I'm going to try messing around with these settings and seeing if that works. But it's really just a matter of look at what works, that kind of thing. But I have a feeling those kinds of settings, like especially the CPU, especially the setting that boosts your CPU speed, and I have a feeling it's not going to play nicely with the boot image, but we'll see. Well, we're stuck on this screen. I could just let it go like this, but I have a feeling it just won't work anyway, because as it said earlier, it said that there were no bootable devices detected. But not all hope is lost yet, because we still have this drive, which I think will be a little more promising, but the only way we'll know is if we try it. The software I used might have also used a different procedure or different format to the drive that made it bootable in ways that this didn't, but we'll see. Although I have determined that I do meet the minimum system requirements, so I don't think the amount of RAM and the CPU speed will be a problem.
We're on the same blinking cursor. Okay, yeah, that's not good. So let's go back into the BIOS and mess with some of those performance booster settings. Actually, it might be best to just turn them all off, just to make sure that it's booting and it won't do anything weird with the CPU optimization or performance. I really don't know what I'm talking about. Multi-core support. Let's just do one core for now. Actually, I should take note of my current settings, but you know. Intel speed step. We'll disable that. C states control. Enables additional processor sleep states. I'm going to disable that. Turbo boost. Oops. Turbo boost, definitely disable that. Hyper-thread control, we're going to disable that. And we're going to apply and exit. Let's see if it'll work now. And this is not looking good. And the activity light is just a solid red. So I don't know if that means it's like if it's reading it or if there's any activity to it. Although I'm assuming that if it's a solid red, then there's either constant activity or there's some kind of issue. But I don't know. Yeah, well, we can always try the Toshiba just to make sure that the image will, just to make sure that the flash drive is bootable. But again, I don't want to install anything on it because I have things that are on this hard drive currently. And if I take it out, the installation of Windows 8 that's on here is optimized for this model of laptop. I'm going to shut down because I don't want to update and restart. There we go. Okay, so let's see here, system configuration. It is on UEFI boot. The order is USB. There's no way, as far as I know, for you to select any select a boot device in the BIOS to boot off of. You may have to do that in Windows actually. But save and exit. And we'll see if it boots off of the flash drive on its own. There we go, finally! Finally! It's working. Maybe I didn't have enough RAM in the Dell Latitude. But this is the screen we should have saw from the beginning when we inserted the flash drive. And from what I know, it should automatically boot from the install medium. Yeah, this is exactly what we should have seen earlier. Maybe I need more RAM for the Dell Latitude, although I was looking up the specifications for the okay, hold on. Yeah. Boot from Catalina. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that we even got to this screen is progress, but again, I don't want to install Mac OS on this computer, but it seems to be working on this computer, so I'd have to assume since this computer has better specifications than the Dell Latitude, that those better specifications is part of the reason why this is working better. Now, it could also be working better because this is a newer motherboard in this computer, and it may just like the newer motherboard better. I don't know, but either way. Now I know that this is going to take. I know that this takes a while for it to boot off of a flash drive. Well, I know that this usually takes a while, but this is definitely progress. This is much better than what we were seeing earlier. With, yeah. So I'd have to assume that the Dell Latitude just needs more RAM, because I was looking at the system specifications for Mac OS Catalina, but I wasn't looking at the specifications for the Clover, which is what allows the flash drive to be bootable. So I don't know. We'll just have to see how this goes. I'm not really sure where this is going, but I think I'm sort of, I'm in the right mindset, I think, but error loading kernel cache. Well, either way, if I get nothing else out of this video, I can at least say that I was able to upgrade this Mac finally to something that's more modern and supported. So at least, if all else fails, I'll get something out of this video. So my time wasn't completely wasted here. So I'll just let it churn on its own. I'll come back to it later. If it's still stuck on this screen when I come back, then I'll just restart it. But I do think we're making good progress here. So at least I know what I think I can do to make this work on the Dell Latitude. Unfortunately, I'll probably have to wait a few weeks for the RAM to arrive. But either way, I think I'm going in the right direction here, which is what I've said multiple times before, but I really think that this time. I think it's fair to say that this is stuck. So yes, boot from Catalina. What does this do? Should enter. Let's try this again. Hopefully it doesn't restart. I hope it's not like attempting to install the OS onto the hard drive, which it shouldn't, but you never really know. Now there's too much text on this screen for me to read, and it's also really small. Maybe I need glasses. I don't know. Now I do know that this takes a while to load. So this may just take a few minutes. Most of this process has just been waiting and waiting and waiting. In fact, I've been on this for 4 days because I've been like waiting for things to install or load or do whatever. This is exhausting, man. Oh, it's doing something. Oh, the Apple logo. Hey, that wasn't there before. That has to be part of the setup. I'm assuming it is because the cursor is in the left corner of the screen, which it's also kind of like has the color scheme of the setup. The setup has this kind of gray tone to it with the gradient in the middle. So
perhaps it just needs perhaps it just needs to load a couple times for it to work. But this is promising. I need to double check the specs of the Dell Latitude again, because I know maybe it just likes this computer because it's a newer motherboard. I guess, but yeah, there we go. See, it works. Now I'm debating, would it be best to just would it be best to just remove the hard drive that's currently in this computer, put the SSD in here, install it on this computer, and then transplant the drive back into the Dell Latitude and see if it works? I don't know if that's going to work. I'd also have to figure out how to take the hard drive out of this computer, because this is not as accessible as the Dell Latitude is. I don't think you can just remove the back panel and you can get to the hard drive right away. I guess I'll just look up how to... Because if I just remove the hard drive, nothing bad will happen, right? Right? I hope not. I don't know, maybe it's worth a try. We'll look up how to disassemble this, and if it's easy, or relatively easy, I think I'll give it a shot. Alright, so it turns out it's actually pretty easy to take this computer apart and replace the hard drive. I have been pretty reluctant to take this thing apart in the years that I've had it, simply for fear of damaging it or having it fall apart. You know, this thing is pretty old and it's taken a beating. You can see the keyboard's kind of, well, you can't see it, but the keyboard is kind of warped at the end there. But I think maybe if I'm just removing the hard drive, I mean, I don't think I have anything critically important on this hard drive, but if I'm just taking out the hard drive, then it really shouldn't be a problem, so long as I handle it with care. So I guess we'll go ahead and power this off now that we know that it works. Again, I'm not using my headset because it was just too much of a pain to deal with, so if you're hearing background noise or anything, then I apologize. But unplug everything, I'll turn it over. Now there are a bunch of screws to remove on the back. First and foremost, we should remove the battery. I believe this is the right screw. Yeah. Now I think all of these screws are the same size, but I very well could be wrong. And I think I actually, yeah, one of the screws for the battery is missing, so out that goes. I don't know if that's actually required to take the computer apart, but I just do that for safety, so I don't electrocute myself. Next thing is the optical drive. Oh, there is a screw in there. That was, for some reason I didn't think there was one. Let's see. Can I remove it? I can't tell if it's working. Oh, it's already very loose. I should probably move this out of the way. If you want actual instructions as to, I feel like I'm stabbing it right now, but if you want actual instructions as to how to take this apart, you should probably refer to like iFixit or something. They're better qualified for taking things apart than I am, and they are also better qualified for instructing people how to perform these safely. Is this even coming out? Oh, there wasn't even a screw in there. What was I doing? Okay. Now, since the optical drive doesn't have a faceplate, I'm going to do a very specialized maneuver, which is shaking the thing until the drive comes out. There we go. Okay. Don't lose this, although I don't think this works, so. But don't lose it so I don't have an ugly hole in the side. Now, just remove the screws that hold this back panel in place. Now, I will admit it's not as easily serviceable as the Dell Latitude. Actually, I think the screws are the same as the one on the Dell Latitude, but it is relatively the same process. You remove the back panel and you're into the RAM, hard drive, and those are the main things. If you want to replace any other stuff, you may have to take it apart further. But for my purposes, I'm just taking out the hard drive. Now, it's not critical that I get this computer working again after the Mac OS installation is done. I would just prefer to have it working, so in the event that I need it. And there are a lot of screws in this thing, way more than the Dell Latitude. And since my screwdriver is not magnetic, I have to like turn it over to get a screw out. This one right here is being a little stubborn. Guess it's kind of convenient that they all look like they're the same size. Maybe this one is recessed and isn't supposed to come out. I'm pretty sure that's wrong, but we'll figure it out as soon as I try to take this back plate off. So even in 2014, computers were still pretty serviceable. You could still somewhat easily remove the hard drive or SSD. Now, of course, this isn't the easiest removal in the world, but I've seen way more difficult disassemblies. Some of them are even older than this computer, so. Okay, now let's try to remove this back plate. Oh, I missed a screw in the very back. This one. There. Might come off easier now. No? Oh, there we go. Now I'm being gentle with this because I don't want to break it. But there are probably snaps in here. I'm going to try to work those out. Yeah, there we go. Just gently pull this. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I might have damaged that, actually. Nope. Don't think I did. Good God, this thing is dusty. Jeez. I don't think this has been opened since manufacture. But yeah, here's the hard drive. And here are the RAM slots. I actually didn't think the RAM in this was upgradable, but it is. Either way, you can apparently just pull this out on its own. Or something like that. I don't know. Also, the board is surprisingly small. I also don't think you can upgrade the CPU in this, but, you know, like I ever plan to do that anyway. There we go. Now just pull back on the SATA port gently, and there we go. Hard drive is out. Oh, got to take off this blue covering that comes with it. Yeah, there we go. Now we're just going to put the SSD back into this. And this hard drive is now out of the machine. I don't know why it took me so long to say that. Just be very careful with it. I don't want to damage it. And now we have to pull the SSD out of the Dell Latitude. This giant thing. I'm going to disassemble it off camera because I don't want to put it on top of this. Alright, so here's the SSD. I'm going to put this little... hold on, actually. It is actually a little bit thinner than a hard drive. That explains a lot, actually. So I'm going to put this back in its little covering. I believe this was here for vibration protection, but I also just don't want this, like, falling out when I put this back together. Because, yeah. Okay. I don't know if that's how it originally went, but I'm going to put it back in anyway. Hold on. Yeah, that's the way it went. This is tiresome. Okay, this is not right. Hold on here. Alright, there we go. Got one side in right. Gotta get the other side. There we go. Perfect. Alright, I think we're set. I think I can put this back on now. Assuming I put it on correctly. Yes, there are indeed a lot of snaps on here, and I think I did my best to try to not break them. I think we're good. Now we got to put all those screws back on. Look at all that. Those are all of the screws. Alright, here we go. This long and somewhat painful process. I think these two computers, both the Dell Latitude and this Toshiba, are considered notebook laptops. I know that in recent years, notebook laptops have gotten way smaller than this, or way thinner at least. If it turns out that the Hackintosh works better in this computer, I could just leave the SSD in here and have this as my my Hackintosh. I think that may actually be better, since this computer has higher. Well, I was going to say it has more power, but it has the same processor, I believe, but just more RAM. So, but again, I don't know if the power has anything to do with it. I think it's just the newer motherboard works better with the Mac OS system, or maybe it likes the UEFI thing on this. I don't know. Okay. All right, I think we're set. Where's the flash drive? There it is. Here's the flash drive.
Put this little plate away. I'm going to put the cover away for the Dell Latitude because I don't want to lose it. Ooh. Okay. We're back in this very dark scene here. I'm going to turn it on, see what it does. It should just boot off of the flash drive. RTC battery is low. Press enter to set date time. Maybe the CMOS battery needs to be replaced. Probably does, since it thinks it's 2014. Which it is not. It is June the 19th. Nope. I have to use the mouse. Of 2020, the godforsaken year. The system time is something. 7:15 p.m. There we go. Lexar 256 gigabyte SSD. At least it's detecting that there's an SSD in there. Optical drive is not present. That's because it's over here. Don't really need it for this. Total memory size is 8 gigs. It looks like we are all good. So we're going to try to boot off of the flash drive now, which it should do automatically, and it did. In the native resolution this time. At least this looks better. There we go. I will say this computer does look a bit better than the Dell Latitude does. It's thinner, the bezel design is better, and it also doesn't have a broken hinge. You can lean it as far forward or back as you want without breaking open your LCD panel. So I would say this is more durable than the Dell Latitude. I don't know how the Dell Latitude I was using earlier got damaged, but I know that the one that's over, that I'm using as a capture device, I know how that one got damaged because I dropped that one off the couch. Yeah, good going on my part. As far as for the other Dell Latitude, I don't know how that got damaged because I bought it used off of eBay. But regardless of its damage, it does work, so. It's also taking very long to load. Now, I was thinking that it was stuck, but I am actually seeing the loading bar progress. So it's probably just going to take a very long time. Back to the waiting. Well, that didn't work, so I'm going to restart it. I thought it was actually making progress, but it really wasn't. Alright, there we go. Might actually work now. Well, we're back on this same screen. We'll see if it makes any progress. Might just have to let it wait for a long time. We'll see how it goes. We are at this screen now. And it's... How do we go next? Oh, finally. Continue. Mac OS Catalina supports a vast range of hardware. This is a special release because Hackintosh Catalina is completely vanilla, which means it does not comes with any it does not come with any third-party apps is how it should be. You are free to customize your Mac experience your way. Read all the instruction from bit.ly Hackintosh Catalina before installing Catalina. Hackintosh is tough. Only talented people could make it work. Does that mean I'm talented? Thank you, I guess. Shop Hackintosh, Hackintosh parts at hackintoshshop.com. Troubleshoot Hackintosh by visiting bit.ly Hackintosh debug. More information at bit.ly Catalina install info. Download Hackintosh Zone distro from the official website, which I've already done because how else is it going to show me this? If you love macOS, support Apple by buying Hackintosh. A couple things here. If you support Apple, buying Hackintosh would basically defeat the purpose of a Hackintosh. And also, why is it telling you to download from Hackintosh Zone when that's literally the only way you can get this screen? Whatever, man. I have read the agreements, yes. Please show a disk. Will be installed on target. What? Okay. I hope it's not going to, like, install it on the flash drive. Could not be installed. What? Are you serious? Alright, so the BIOS detects the hard drive, but the Mac OS installation, or the Mac OS boot media, does not. Let's actually, hold on, let's see here. Can we go to settings? I don't know if that's going to help us. How do I go back? Oh, I can just go to return. And I guess Clover, restart computer X Clover. Yeah, just do that. It'll give us the least amount of problems. Although I have got it to work just by like restarting it a couple times. That's actually how I got it to that screen. So maybe it just gets better over time? I don't know. But the fact that we're getting that far is actually impressive. Now I just need to see if it can detect the drive, which I know it can. Well, I know the computer can because it did so in the BIOS. Now it's just a matter of can this install media detect it on its own. Maybe I have to go into the settings and mess around with some stuff, or I have to go to troubleshooting. Should also probably get another one of these and find the faceplate for it. Because if I don't put this back in, it's just going to get all dusty. Yeah, I'm going to put it back in, even though it's kind of useless. Just keeps it from having an ugly hole in the side. There we go. In the meantime, we can take a look at this weird Palm Pilot I have. And it's too dark. So, why I have this, I don't know. But you can do stuff with it. If I had an actual computer to hook this up to, that would be great. Can we focus? We're not going to focus. On. Tap this.
Why am I doing this so many times? What? Maybe I... Yeah, it's hard for me to be precise in front of the camera. Oh, it's doing its thing again. Oh, it put me on a language screen this time. That's new. Can I hit next? Continue. I've already read that. Continue. Agree. Oh, I think I know why it's not. Can I hit the button? Perhaps the reason why this isn't working is because the disk is unformatted. There we go. Yeah, that might be why it's working. Or not working, rather. Let's call it... Wow, this is slow. Alright, that's not... It's longer than I wanted it to be, but, you know, whatever. Wee woo. That was quick. Feels like that was too quick, actually. Although I suppose it was an SSD. But now I think it can be written to. Should be able to. Anyway, yeah, there it is. See, I know what I'm doing. It's actually not taking that long. Although, like the Mac Mini, it's probably going to have another install part that's going to be like 40-something minutes remaining, and it takes like, what, 9 hours? Oh. Boot Mac OS install from WeeWoo. Sure, let's do that. Okay, so from what I know, it says it installed. I should probably check to see if it actually booted off of the right drive, because I wasn't really looking at it. Yeah, my foot hurts after sitting for so long. About 13 minutes remaining. Okay, very good. You're getting somewhere. It's restarting for a third time. I think. Boot Mac OS from... Boot Mac OS install. I think that's what we're supposed to do. I sure hope it is. It says HFS mounted WeeWoo on device disk 0S2. I think that's what it says. So much for this being a Hackintosh on the Dell Latitude E5520. I was originally going to call this video that, but I think I'm just going to call it the Notebook Hackintosh, because this computer and the Dell Latitude are both considered notebooks. There's a very distinct difference between the two, in which notebooks are more powerful, I believe, than netbooks. I could be wrong. But I do know that netbooks are pretty underpowered. These have a considerable amount of RAM. Well, the Dell Latitude is kind of on the lower end of the scale there, but maybe this Hackintosh just needed more RAM, or maybe a newer motherboard. I'm going to have to guess that's what it was. Alright, I'm just going to let it go do its thing. I'll be back. Now, I think it did say that the computer would restart like 3 times or something like that. Now it says there's about 10 minutes remaining. Yeah, we'll just see how it is when I come back. I don't see how this can be like less than a minute remaining when it's barely Like, well, according to its own little loading bar, it has barely gotten started, so I don't see how it could only have a minute left. But I'll let it run throughout the night. We'll see how it goes. Alright, so this install image officially sucks because it keeps getting stuck at certain points and I can't figure out why. It's been stuck on this loading screen for hours now. I mean, the cursor works, but it's very slow. I mean, look at that. I'm going to try a hard restart and see if it corrupts the drive. I'm actually going to take the flash drive out so it won't boot off of it. Let's see if it can boot off of the SSD. Okay. Looks like it installed Clover onto the SSD at least. Though it showed that there were 3 boot options. I think 2 of them were APFS. If this doesn't work, I can try the second boot option if that actually means anything. But this makes me wonder, did it install and just get stuck on the screen? Because I don't think it would be showing this if it had installed. Alright, it says 100% completed. Does that mean the install is done, or is it just going to get stuck at this same point? It might just do that. Do I just have to wait? I don't know, but I'm going to try the other option that was in Clover. Alright. Boot file vault pre-booter from pre-boot. Boot Mac OS. Oh, so this is pre-boot and this is just to boot the installation. Guess we can try this, and then if it doesn't work, we can try recovery. Well, I found the missing screw. Alright, we have a cursor in the left corner, so that's good. Now, this loading bar is what I'm concerned about. Because is it making any progress? I can't see if it is. Although I'm tempted to think that it didn't install on this drive properly. It might not have, because look at how slow this mouse is. Alright, I'll just let it wait. I'll just wait for a while, let it go, see how it does, I guess. Alright, I may just have to wipe out this installation of Catalina if it didn't install correctly. Let's try pre-booter. I think that's what we did earlier. Yeah, let's do that. However, I think this is pretty good progress, but this is just, I think this is just too glitchy. I mean, I had to restart it several times for it to even work.
And it's not moving any further. Alright, we'll try booting off with the recovery thing. See what that does. Alright, we have an Apple logo that's kind of in the background of this text here. I don't know if that means it froze or if it's just doing some weird stuff. I don't know. Well, oh. Maybe I do just need to wait. Cursor works, not very well. Guess I'll just let it go again. If it doesn't work, I'll just reinstall it off of this. Alright, so I've determined that this just does not work. So we're going to try to run the installation again and see what happens. But I've noticed that you have to restart this a couple times for it to work. And you seem to get a different result every time. I don't know if that's normal or if it's just improving with time or... But we'll see. Alright, here we go again. Hopefully it works this time. Alright, we are back in the Mac OS Catalina installer. So from here we're going to have to wipe the disk because it has a bunch of junk on it and it doesn't work. So we're going to have to erase it and reinitialize it so we can install stuff on it. Well, these are the same thing. Oh, well. It must think the Mac OS Catalina part of the drive is its own drive. I don't know, but they're all. But Mac OS Catalina is on the well, Clover and Catalina are integrated on the drive, so whatever. So it thinks that these two are different volumes, even though they're the same. So we're going to erase this. We're going to do the same with the top one. Even though, again, they're the same volume. And I believe they should be initialized with APFS. Okay, I think it's stuck again because look at this. It's not doing anything. And there's not a lot of activity on the flash drive. Like the light, it's just a solid red. And there's only like one volume in here, and it shows that this volume is 255 gigabytes, but the other volume says the same thing. Or it's in full screen. Alright, so I'm going to assume that it glitched out here, especially because it's not really supposed to show these two volumes. So I'm going to... Is there any way for me to exit out of this? There's not. I can't get rid of this now. Because I have to shut it down again? I do know that it completed something. It completed initializing one of the volumes.
Even though that volume is technically the SSD. They're all technically the SSD other than the Clover thing. I may have to erase this with Hiron's boot CD. Or I guess a boot flash drive, because this computer doesn't have a working optical drive. The camera's almost dead and I've only had it on for a little while. Okay, finally. What does customize do? Oh, you can customize the installation. So you can choose what gets installed and what doesn't. So we're going to get all of those, we're going to let all of those install, because those are probably important. I don't remember which drive we erased. I'm just going to go with this one. Actually, no. This one, because this was the one that erased successfully, I believe. Okay, it's going to go ahead and do this. I think either way, if it didn't erase it, it's just going to go ahead and wipe the drive and put a new installation on it. Although, I am assuming that it would prompt me and say that, oh, there's something on this drive. Are you sure you want to install it here? I have a feeling it would have said that instead of like just letting me go ahead and do this, but I don't know. But that makes me think it's blank, because it may not have let me proceed if it wasn't. Although this is pretty confusing, because the drive itself, there's only one SSD in there, and in reality there can only be one 255 gigabyte volume. So I'm going to assume the whole volume is blank and that Mac OS just thinks there's another one in there. Because there's no other like 255 gigabyte hard drive in there. I don't know, but I'm going to go ahead and let it do its thing again and see how it goes. It says there's about a minute remaining, but I have a feeling that's not... Okay, yeah, there's 2 minutes remaining, but even then I have a feeling that's not going to be completely accurate, but we'll just have to see. Alright, we're on this screen now. Unfortunately, it's probably going to get stuck on this, like it did last time. But if that's the case, I'm going to have to look into... if that's the case, I'm going to have to look into alternative images, or ways to troubleshoot this. Or, that drive could just be defective. And if that's the case, then I'll just need a different flash drive. Actually, I'll go ahead and make another flash drive right now. And if this doesn't work, I can just boot off of this one. So, we'll see how that goes. So my flash drive, the new flash drive I was trying to make, couldn't be read with Windows, so I have to format it with this. Apparently it was formatted with APFS, so... But it's weird that my Windows computer couldn't even detect it. It would have said, oh, this drive isn't in the right format. You need to format it. It just didn't show up. So either way, got this. Should be ready to make the image now. And it always complains that I never eject this flash drive properly, but there's nothing on it, so whatever. Okay, so I tried powering off this computer, and I actually took out the drive. But it says it will restart when the update completes. But it's not making any progress, so is it really updating? I guess not. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. Make the new image.
So I guess I do have to come back here and format it with a PFS. So, turns out that the other flash drive I was going to use to make the image just flat out refuses to be detected by the computer, and well, it was formatted as an MS-DOS format, but also when I formatted it as ATFS or Mac OS Extended Journaled. Actually, I tried it with MS-DOS. I tried it with the MS-DOS. I actually probably needed to use FAT, but at the same time, I also used ATFS and Mac OS Extended Journaled, but and Transmac detected the drive but just refused to write to it. So maybe I need to format it as a FAT file system. But either way, it's like this is booting off of the SSD. This isn't even plugged in. So there's something on here. Clover was able to be installed on this, but are any of these bootable? Because now I'm seeing 3 different things. Like those 2 are recovery, that's booting macOS, and that's booting macOS from the data. And there's File Vault Prebooter. Maybe I need to run this first? I don't know. Okay. Okay, I did that. Now I'm going to run the macOS installer preboot, even though I'm assuming it's something got installed on here, since it's giving me a menu for me to select boot options. This also may be made more difficult by the fact that Catalina uses a verification code or some kind of security code, I think. That may complicate things, but apparently people have gotten this to work, so I'm assuming I've seen videos of this this particular image working, so I'm kind of at a loss here as to why this may not be. I mean, I was thinking that this flash drive may be bad, but now I'm thinking more that the other flash drive is bad, or I just need to format it with FAT or FAT32. Is this stuck, or does it just need to load for a while? This is exhausting. I'm probably going to have to split this up into multiple parts. Well, this is getting exhausting, I gotta tell you. Do powered on for the billionth time. So that didn't work. Is that the one I loaded? Or no, that was the one I loaded. That was the one that didn't work. Mac OS install from WeWoo data. I'm kind of lost here. I'm probably going to cut this off at very soon as part 1 while I spend some time troubleshooting and hopefully figuring out why this isn't working. This has gone on for like, what, the course of 4 days? I think it's been longer than that, actually. But I will say, I think even if I do cut it off at this point, we've made significant progress. I mean, the fact that we're even in this screen it shows that we're doing something right here, but there's some kind of error that keeps popping up, or some kind of like, I don't know if it can't be the RAM, because this computer already has a significant amount of RAM. A processor, maybe? Oh. The bar progressed a little bit further than it did last time. But I have a very strong feeling it's just gonna stop at like this point. So maybe it needs an internet connection to do updates. I don't think the Ethernet port on this computer works anymore. So something's going on and I can't seem to figure out what it is. Maybe this motherboard is too old, even though even though it was able to boot up, perhaps it's just the motherboard is too old. This computer's from like 2014. I don't have another computer I can install this on. Most recent computer I have is from 2019, but you can't, that's not expandable in any way. You can't take out the hard drive or SSD or anything. I don't know. I'm not quite sure how to proceed here, but it did say somewhere that it was trying to do updates, but I don't see why it would be trying to do updates if I just installed it. I don't know, but I do know that I'm pretty sure the Ethernet port on this computer does not work. In which case, unless it can somehow connect to my network, which I don't think it can, because I haven't been able to, it hasn't given me a prompt to enter a Wi-Fi password or anything, or even connect to a wireless network. So maybe this bar has progressed a little bit in the time that I've been talking, but I think that's just my mind playing tricks with me. Either way, I think I'm going to cut this off here, and this will be the end of part 1. Part 2 will hopefully get this thing working, but it's just, this video is getting very long, and I don't know how much I'm going to be able to cut this down. So, alright, I guess I will see you in part 2.